Hey, this is Kurt. Today on Grandworks, we're going to build a Harry Potter wand. Technically, we're going to build two Harry Potter wands, because one of them was a prototype and one of them didn't quite turn out exactly how I wanted. And even more technically, these are not Harry Potter wands. These are Draco Malfoy wands. Any true fan would recognize that. These were 10 inches, reasonably pliant, with a hawthorn core. Well, not these ones. They're 10 inches, but they're actually made of hardwood dowels. Not at all pliant.
Rowling specified that the Malfoy wand was 10 inches long, but she didn't say anything about diameter. I went with a ½ inch because why not? I mean, it seems like a wand diameter if there ever was one. I decided to shape it using a belt sander. I could have used, I guess, a bench plane or block plane, maybe a knife or some other thing, but I was looking at it, it just seemed like the easiest way to shape gentle curves in there would be using a belt sander. That's one thing about the Malfoy wand is it doesn't really have as much shaping as most of the other wands do. It is almost entirely flat, except for at the ends where there is a little bit of a curve in the front and in the back of it. The belt sander had a 60 or maybe an 80 grit paper on it, so that it was pretty rough. I decided to smooth it all a little bit by hand using some 220 grit sandpaper. I just tried to get it to be a little bit smoother, so when I went and tried to stain it later, that it'd be a little more consistent. I had some very old gel stain just hanging around, circa 2002 maybe. It was Brazilian rosewood, and it looked like roughly what I was looking for if it was still good. I really had no idea. I figured though, since it was just there, worth a try at least. The whole idea with the gel stains is you rub it on and then you rub it off. Unlike the regular stains, it doesn't really penetrate the wood very much. In fact, it acts a little bit more like paint in that respect. I have to say though, after I went and did one coat of it, it was nowhere near as dark as I thought it was going to be. In fact, the wet look of it was a lot closer to what I wanted for it in the end. It was right around here that I was starting to wonder if maybe this wasn't going to work. But hey, it was worth a try. And sure enough, I mean, this video may not show it very well, but it was extremely blotchy with a lot of very dark colors and interplayed with light colors. And I wanted a lot more consistent look. So I decided what I was going to do is just spray paint it brown. It was a semi-gloss brown paint. Got one of those cover tops that make it a lot easier to use. Those are very slick. I ended up putting 3 coats of spray on there, just very light coats, each of them, waited a few minutes in between and then sprayed again. This video is sped up roughly 2 times, so no, I don't usually spray quite that fast. I then sprayed on a coat of polyacrylic. This was mostly to protect the finish while I did the next step, which was going to be gluing on the handle guards. This was the very first time I've ever used a glue gun like this, or a hot glue gun at least. I even made some simple mistakes, like the first time I tried it, I only put in 1 stick. I didn't realize you needed 2 sticks in order to use the ratchet mechanism. That was a quick lesson to learn at least. The idea for this was to spin the wand fairly slowly and put an even bead all around it 2 times to make the handle guards. That's easier said than done. Maybe it's just my inexperience with the glue gun, but I was completely unable to really get it to go in any kind of consistent bead. It would tend to come out in spurts at a few spots and then very, very thinly in other spots. As you can see right here, it's not very good looking at all. I used the belt sander then with that same grit as before to try and get it down to at least to the same level so that both of the guards were at the same diameter or thickness. And then after that, I tried to get the thicknesses of them, of each of the guards, to be roughly the same by using just a standard utility knife. That worked okay, not as well as the belt sander in that case, and it definitely took a lot more than I'm showing right here. In the end, it's not bad. I just figured at this point it's going to be covered by paint and you'd never be able to tell the difference. Next step is taping off all the brown parts, since the handle is black and I wanted there not really to be any overspray. Same deal as before, 3 coats of black. After it dried, I tried to sand one of them with 320 grit sandpaper, mostly just to smooth it out a little bit. I only did one of them because in the end it kind of went through the finish a lot more than I thought it would. It wasn't a bad look because it gave it a little more grain, I guess, but I didn't want both of them to look like that, so I only did one. The final step was going to be putting a few more coats of polyacrylic on it. In this case I wanted the polyacrylic to cover the entire thing, so I needed to hang it off just the tip. I accomplished this by putting a number 6 screw right into the end of the handle and then getting a piece of wire and looping it around the end. That allowed me to access everything but maybe a few millimeters at one of the tips. And some final shots of the finished wands. Yeah, they might have been able to go a little bit better, but in the end, they looked fine, and my son loved them. So I guess that's all that really matters in the end. Until next time.